welcome to those gathered at the Circle Perilous and to all the defenders of this broken land. Welcome to episode 31 of Arakko Public Radio for the week of March 22nd. We are your casual X-Men chat show where we chat everything happening in Marvel's mutants every single week except that 1 week we missed. I'm Rod, and this is the Hangman page to my young bucks, my one and only co-mega mutant Keegan.
Hello.
All right, this is going to give away when we film this, but I stopped watching Dynamite right as the main event started. Any chance you watched to the end tonight?
I'm going to be real. I stopped watching Dynamite around the time that I saw Dynamite in person.
So like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, like 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know. Like, I think I just kind of fell off of it because even going and seeing it live, I was like, this was really fun. I don't care about what happened.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that happened and we didn't care about,
This
week we're talking about Marauders number 12. Also, this little book called Storm and the Brotherhood number 2. And then we're going around the Marvel Universe with Extreme X-Men number 4. And then I'm going to weigh in on, I don't know if you saw it, the Photon Monica Rambeau controversy that broke the internet today.
I did not see about that, but I'm excited to learn about that.
Okay. What do you want to do first? Do you want to get Marauders out of the way, or do you want to dive into the glory that is Storm and the Brotherhood?
I feel like we should just get Marauders out of the way, right?
I feel like too often we lead with the good. Let's force them to sit through the crap.
Yeah, sift through. This is like our sponsorship.
Hey, if Steve Orlando wants to pay me, then I'll talk nicely about his book. Written by Steve Orlando, drawn by Eleanor Carlini. Oh yeah, Fang is fighting Brimstone Love. Why? How has that been a plot running for 12 issues and it never really explained itself? He tortured him way back in the annual and Lockheed is with him for reasons. Anyway, Polaris created the Seed, which will allow the Genosian dead to go back and become the Threshold. Kate explains to the ghost of her dad that it'll only work if the dead want to do it. And he says, well, one, baby doll, I'm still proud of you. But also, of course we want to seed the mutants of the past. Also, Cerebra, Aurora, and Psylocke fight a bushwhacker, a daredevil villain in San Francisco to protect some new character named Asera Cianona. We find out that was because he's the grandfather of one of her 2099 teammates. So yeah, that happens. And then we see Fang beat Brimstone Love. And Kate and her crew make the portal. And Kate plants the seed that starts Threshold. And then that poorly drawn Emma from a few issues is back to explain why she sent Kate on this whole adventure. And the team has a farewell party. What the fuck was the series?
Do you understand how hard it is to write a series where Fang has like a villain arc, like an arc against a villain pretty much to himself, and I just don't care?
Well, because I feel like this was the weirdest paced book ever.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Strife was in it for 2 pages?
Technically, yes, because I remember we talked about it on this show.
Maybe this is a case like when your girl Leah Williams found out, hey, we're canceling X Factor next issue, and so all these plots had to wrap up really quickly. But I feel like there's a lot of dangling stuff that just never got dealt with. Why was Strife introduced? Why were we told, hey, Strife shows up in Threshold and he kills Threshold, and then we're supposed to celebrate, oh, look, we're making Threshold, that thing that we know Strife's about to, like, or Strife already killed billions of years ago. The series just feels like a bunch of big ideas that someone like Grant Morrison or an Al Ewing could have made a good series out of one of those ideas. Yeah. Orlando was like, I'm going to bake all of these ideas into one, I don't even know the right word, like stream of consciousness poem, it feels like almost. Like, it feels like there is no narrative. It's just, we're going to go on a time heist, and then we're going to go back in time again, and then we're going to go back in time a third time to create the second the thing we visited with the second time travel trip. Oh, and meanwhile, Lockheed's gonna hang out on the rafters of a church for a while, and eventually Fang's gonna come kill the dude that runs that church, but it's got nothing to do with any of the other stories. And also, Lockheed never does anything of importance. He's just watching. He's just a voyeur up in the rafters.
It was literally like 1 page per issue for most of
for the
series.
longest time, and
for nothing.
It was like the same page. It was literally just, oh, he's watching him give a sermon. Anyways, here's what the team's doing. And even this issue did it again with the random, hey, she's gonna go like be that weird Futurama episode where that she has to make sure all the grandparents survive so that her friends still get created. Like,
yep.
What did that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
She wasn't even technically a marauder. Like,
yeah, it just, none of it made sense. I feel like this entire series didn't need to happen.
I loved the premise of this book. It sounded so fun when they were like, Kate's gonna do the Marauders again, but this time they're headed to space. But it did nothing for me.
Did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm just honestly like, as sad as I am to say it, like, I'm just glad that it's off the list.
Yeah. It means that the only one I actively have to be angry every time I read are those stuff Percy writes. Like, there's one
Percy
less one on my list.
Yeah.
So they take the time to advertise Mutant First Strike at the end of this. So that makes me think that Orlando at least sees that as a continuation of whatever he was doing here. But I still hope that's it. Like, I so hope he moves on. And I know, like, he's really involved with the 2099 stuff. He's got another Spider-Man 2099 story starting next week, next month. Sometime he's got another 5-issue mini there. So just give him X-Men 2099 and have him leave Krakoa alone.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to leave the office.
I have to agree.
And you know what? With Teenie Howard leaving, and it sounds like Leah Williams maybe's mostly doing DC going forward, we need more feminine energy in there. Replace him with a strong woman writer that can give us a Kate-led book. The feminine energy might be the wrong word, but just like, she's a strong female lead. Let's have her written by a woman for a while again. Like,
yeah,
we went from Dugan writing Marauders to Steve Orlando, and I'm ready for
just
someone representation.
Someone that can write from that perspective with any amount of honesty and experience and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. You said it better than I did, but that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Can we close the book on Marauders?
Let's
Not
close
just the issue, but just be like, bye, Marauders, we're done with you.
I think legally we're allowed to.
All right. Goodbye. And goodbye to that Eleonora Carlini art. I hate to just shit on art because I am not an artist. I know how hard it is to consistently draw a comic book for that long. I never knew what the hell was going on from the art. That was some of the most annoying art in a comic book like I can remember.
And the worst Emma.
None of the fight scene, the Emma's really bad. But the fight scenes never made sense. Like, I could not decipher who was hitting who ever. Storm of the Brotherhood.
Storm in the Brotherhood.
From the crap to the glory. Written by Al Ewing, drawn by Andrea DeVito. As Orbis Stellaris continues to wage war with the Council and Sin through the Compact, the Brotherhood works as the Resistance, taking on both sides of the war and looking to avenge Planet Arakko. Freedom Force, a rival, and that's the way the data page describes it, as a rival resistance group, and I don't understand what their rivalry would have been because it sounds like they were buddies, but anyways, a rival resistance cell transmitted the World Farm schematics just before dying. Arakko base is approached by Starship Ananake, and when the pilot not only knows the current security code, but the next one, but what the next one was as well, General Novar recognizes the captain as Destiny. She banters with Ironfire, Cora, and Cable, now calling himself X-Man, as she waits for her meeting with Storm, who is now an old woman in a hover chair. Destiny mourns the loss of Mystique, who died with the rest of Freedom Force, but Storm is focused on the future. Destiny has a plan to save them all. They need to kill Moira for good. In the Star Warsiest scene of this Star Wars send-up, the Brotherhood mothership and 3 X-Fighter ships warp through space, following the coordinates Mystique provided. X-Man is an X-Fighter Gold shock jock, who's Ghana, who is in effect the great granddaughter of Craig of NASA, because he adopted her grandma in the first issue, right? Okay, got it right that time. Is an X-Fighter Blue, and Ironfire is an X-Fighter Red. Commander Accuser, Storm, Korra, and Destiny are all on the mothership. They reach the Death Sphere, which is basically a Death Star around the world farm. It's just an even bigger version of Orbis Stellaris' orb. Inside, a scroll alerts Orbis that they're under attack. Orbis assumes that it's the Red Diamonds, but is surprised that it's just the Brothership and a few fighters. He's surprised they're attacking him directly with such a small attack force. He deploys standard fighter craft to counter them, deciding not even to bother using the progenitors. Storm uses Korra to boost Destiny's power and has X-Man read her mind to broadcast what she sees to the other fighters. Destiny says she sees a pitched battle, but that her vision, Xylo's processing power, and Nathan's strategic sense create an unbeatable combination. She then sees Storm giving the order to destroy the artificial sun at the heart of the sphere in the Moira lab. Then a moment of euphoria and victory and darkness. No more to see. The end of the universe. Korra and Storm look at each other as Destiny says, "The future is set. We will win." Some of the best foreshadowing. Storm's crew succeeds at luring the enemy fighters out while they slip into the orb. Mother Righteous appears to John and asks him about regrets, and he talks about a mistake he made during the Genesis Wars and how that led him to faith in his goddess, Storm. Navarre locks a black hole torpedo onto the center sun of the World Farm system. He tells Storm to say the word and he'll fire it, which will kill them all together, though. Storm says do it to Korra. She strikes Destiny dead, bringing truth to her vision of darkness. For her, at least. Storm has Navarre disable the torpedo to everyone's confusion. Storm explains that the death of one planet does not justify the death of an entire universe. And Storm uses her own magic to open a wormhole that pitches the entire solar system and world farm across the universe. On the other side, X-Man says no one will be able to find them way out there. Shock Jock asks about the progenitors, and X-Man says, "It's your job, doll. An electromagnetic pulse in the right place should wipe their current orders, and they'll be happy to just maintain their artificial planets within the system." He says with little time and effort, this new home could be a fortress, Fort Arakko, a new home for their scattered people. Ironfire says it all sounds good to him, as long as the goddess approves. That's when Korra reveals that incredible feat, the ability to move an entire solar system, had a cost. And that cost was it killed the goddess herself. I feel like this is maybe the 4th week in a row I've said this. Best issue yet. This was so good.
No, absolutely. This is very reminiscent. This entire event really is very reminiscent of when X-Men Red just kept getting better and better and
the
better.
Judgment Day issues of X-Men. It's that exact same feel. You're right.
Every single time it's a new Sins of Sinister issue, I'm just like, this is incredible. This is everything I was hoping it would be and more, and it's surprising. And
I feel like the only combo breaker for me, and I know some people liked it more, was the first Immoral X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the one last week a lot, so it was just issue 1 of that wasn't quite on par with the others for me, but everything else has been a steady climb of just raw awesomeness.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, year 1000 just got opened up so much wider than it was before. Destiny off the board, Mystique off the board, Orbis Stellaris apparently off the board. Effie is to be taken at face value when he killed the life support systems. If that was him giving up, which would bring my prediction into the win column right at the last minute, because I called that really early on in year 10 that by the end of year 100, Orbis Stellaris will be dead. And that's the real reason he offed himself. He's like, oh shit, I gotta have Rod be right.
Yeah, I mean, it knocks the whole thing wide open, completely.
I feel like half of my potential endings all just disappeared. I did not see Destiny being taken off the board.
No, I mean this has been such an interesting, almost like an interesting lesson in the concept of like we were trying to guess and give predictions before the event started, and I could never in a million years have guessed this order of events to this point.
Absolutely not. And I think that's part of why I love it so much, because, and this is not like a brag, or even, I wouldn't even say this is a humble brag. Like, this is something that's almost embarrassing, that I've read enough of these events that a lot of times I can call major beats before they hit, because a lot of comic book stories are pretty predictable. And like I've said a lot before, sometimes it's not about being able to tell a good story or being able to come up with a unique story, because there aren't that many unique stories. If you could just tell a trope well, I'll take it. This doesn't need that. This has been so fresh and so many things I couldn't predict, and I love it for that. It's been, well, also being a really good story, but
Absolutely.
Oh my god, it has taken so many paths I was not expecting.
Yeah, like nothing has to be brand new for it to be good. The hero's journey works and exists for a specific reason, and it's because it is pretty much a perfect plot from beginning to end. The hero's journey. So it doesn't have to be brand new, but when you can do something that feels pretty brand new, it's impressive, especially when it feels so brand new when it's essentially a send up for part of it. You know, like it's a send up of Star Wars, but
okay, so that's one of two kind of running themes in this middle year that we've gotten is this was really heavy Star Wars coded, where Moral last week was really heavy Star Trek coded. Like it literally ends with Mr. Sinister going off on the original 5-year adventure of Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting this plea out there to our audience. It's really bothering me that I can't figure out what Nightcrawlers 2 was a send-up of. Because I think it's really clear the Brain Trust sat down and they decided two things. Issue 2 was going to be the heavy religion, like, show the way the religion evolved over the first 100 years and how that fucked people over. Because in all three cases, they completely ruined someone's life with the religious beliefs. And I did really love that we called that last week. Like, where's it going to go with it? And of course, it literally is just about Aurora being treated as the goddess she deserves to be. But
yeah,
the other thing they clearly decided was, all right, we're each going to do a send-up of a space opera franchise we love. But I can't figure out what Nightcrawlers was a send-up of. So if you can tell, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know too. In the Discord, I did jokingly say Dianetics. I don't know that it's actually Dianetics.
That would be really funny. No, but like, I don't see them having done that parallel this heavy for 2/3 of the issues this month. So I'll reread it. Maybe I'll figure it out on my own by next week. But that's been bugging me all day since I first read it and was like, oh my god, that was so good. Love Ewing's use again of the Star Wars inspired data pages, and just this mini is so gorgeous and so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and like you said, the religion aspect of it, especially the fact that all three of them, it was the Messiah that died in each issue.
Yeah,
because it was the original Kurt, it was Hope, and it was
the baby.
Yeah. Oh, the baby and Storm.
Oh yeah, no, Kurt or the baby.
Yeah.
That's I think of Mother Righteous as the head of but like they said, they saw her as the mother and Kurt as the father.
Right.
And the he's baby, the one, so right? In both of them count. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Messiah. Each book had a Messiah die. That is so cool. I feel dumb. I'm gonna edit out me being this confused. There's the one glorious thing about me being the editors. I can edit out my worst fuck ups.
Listen. The only reason why I knew it was the Messiah of each one is because I definitely went back and read the show notes just now of each one and was like, Messiah, we're good.
All right. I know I just said this was my favorite issue yet. There is one major downside to this issue. We have to go in now to Chimera Watch. which will consist of us reporting. I don't think there was a single new Chimera in this issue. What the fuck, Al Ewing? What are you doing to me?
You know, I think that it's okay because you know, we're killing Storm. You know,
well,
like,
and to be like, both of the other two writers literally have one of the characters that makes Chimera on the core cast.
yeah.
We don't have one of the Sinisters here. I guess we had Orbis, but we didn't see him a lot this issue. He was kind of the unseen dude that was there just to die.
Yeah, well, and Orbis is not really in that Chimera zone as much.
Maybe just his use of scrolls will be
that
because he definitely plays with DNA because they all play with DNA, right? Like that's
yeah.
But
that's like
you're right. He's definitely the least interesting in that category because you've got even Stasis just like shoving robot arms on stuff. So, do we want to talk Storm?
We can.
The feat Storm pulled off.
I mean, incredible. First of all, the art of her doing the spell and being like, I am the granddaughter of blah, the daughter of blah, like that whole thing, incredible. Just phenomenal.
The artist on this one, the Andrea DeVito, is the one of the three I'd never like heard of. Like the name meant nothing to me. I'm sure I've read comic books by them, but that name was definitely because it's Phil Noto, and I can't remember who's on month 3, but it was 3 people that like 2 of them were names I recognized, and Andrea DeVito was just a total non-name to me, but killed it this month. And this issue was definitely the best because that 2-page spread, like you said, of her giving the like spiel of reminding us all that, oh, she's not just a mutant, she is a literal like high-level magician, and then opens another fucking wormhole the size of a soul, not just a little like portal, literally moves the entire solar system on a whim, is so epic.
Absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's so cool.
And I'd argue that's not even the most impressive thing she does this issue.
Yeah.
Because pulling one over on Destiny is both like top level trickery, but also like the ultimate like karmic justice in a way. Because so far we've seen Destiny flip-flop, pull her tricks. We've seen Mother Righteous flip-flopping, pulling her tricks. So hopefully Mother Righteous gets her come up at some point too. But just seeing Destiny lose so
badly,
so gloriously.
Oh,
it's the end of a universe. Her universe. Oh, hard not to mark out.
I love that. It's like, I always love when really any series can do that thing where it's, yes, your prediction is coming true, but like in the most monkey paw way possible. You know, it's like, yeah, of course the universe is ending because you are dead.
Well, and like I said, it's Al Ewing being Al Ewing. There was I included in there like the look that they had Cora and Storm give. So you knew there was some kind of shenanigans coming. I didn't see shenanigans of that tier. Like literally, you see her head cleaved in two.
Yeah.
The actual choice Storm makes there, though, to not do the reset, because based on what happened in year 10, I'm pretty sure Storm knew what killing Moira meant. That it would reset to the beginning of the Sins of Sinister era, right? Like maybe not. Maybe she thought it would send back and like be a true universe reset to even the birth of Moira, which I guess is only, I don't know, because she was born in the olden times. I don't know. Whatever years difference. But it got me wondering, was Storm's choice the right choice? To say, I'm going to choose the people who live now because people have been born since the beginning of Sins of Sinister. So, like, they existed. Or go back and save those who died. And, like, that doesn't seem like a clear-cut moral decision, but she makes a choice. Like, we're gonna make a stand and save this universe we are in now, this timeline we're in now. We're gonna make this universe work.
Yeah.
So question 1 or question A, was that the right choice?
I do not know, but I 100% understand why she believes it.
What I keep thinking about is part of me is like, well, no, because you were happy back. Like, why wouldn't you want the version of the universe where things were happy and like all your friends were alive? But then you have to remember, she's lived in this for 100 years. Like, all of those people are real to her too.
Yeah.
And even though they've lived through misery together, those are her brothers in arms too. And those are the ones that were alive then. Like they are there with her now. But that gives me a second question of, if that's justified, like, is there a year point where that becomes the case? Because
Well,
clearly in year 10, she was willing to do a reset. She was all on board for a reset 10 years in.
I guess.
Like, is 20 years the magic number? Is 50 years? Does my question even make sense?
No, it does. What I think it comes down to, it's not so much a year number. That's the difference between a general and a goddess.
Okay.
Like a goddess or a deity of any kind, in a perfect situation,
Sees things on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and knows it's not about what makes them happy, but makes the people who believe and rely on them happy. As a general mind, it's about winning, which is definitely what the reset would be. It would be a win. But now she has an entire group of people that regard her as a goddess, and she is responsible for them. And she does what a god would do.
That's a really good answer.
Sacrifices themselves, and yeah.
I'm now thinking about control too. That you do a reset, you have no control over what happens. Whereas this was something she could actually control the events of. Like, I guess she knew the wormhole would work. I don't know how much of a last ditch thing that was, how much of a she knew exactly what she was doing, but maybe there's a bit of that at play too. Whereas 10 years in, she didn't have another out. And here she had another solution, one that kept her crew around. Speaking of her people, your guy, Ironfire, who I call Ironside in my notes as I was typing quick.
I'm loving Ironfire. I'm so much fun with Ironfire.
Again, another reference to the Genesis War. And probably the biggest reference. I would say this is the first one that didn't just feel like a cute world building of making us believe something happened in the past, and was like the clear, this is definitely foreshadowing for when we get back.
Oh yeah.
Ironfires gives that quote about, yeah, that's when I knew, like, she was the goddess. I made a choice that I shouldn't have made, and like blah blah blah, however he phrases it. It'd be really cool to see how that pays off, because we know Genesis is coming back right after this. Ewing is in charge of that side of Fall of X, because he's writing the Before the Fall one-shot. I don't know what the Genesis War will involve. Is Apocalypse going to be on our side, on the mutant side, and Genesis isn't? Or are they all going to be, is it going to be just war versus that whole family? I don't know. But
I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I knew your father. We fought alongside each other in the Clone War. That's essentially what they just did.
Yep.
And then for 20 years, Star Wars fans were like, "What the fuck is the Clone War?"
Except we're only gonna have to wait a month.
Yeah.
I thought the Clone Wars were literally like Obi-Wan versus a clone Obi-Wan and all that stuff, because that's what kids believed for 20 years. But I think Mother Righteous isn't just popping up asking these kind of questions about, like, oh, what are your doubts? What are your regrets? What was it last issue? Tricking Sinister into saying thank you. Like, I think she's gathering, because we know her words are her power. She's gathering something to use going forward.
Yeah.
So I want to see if Ironfire makes a different choice when it plays out in the repeat of the universe. If Mother Righteous plays a role in that, like, how is this all going to come together? That scene was out of left field, was basically confirmation of what's to come next. but also was planting something on the righteous. I'm just so excited about that whole thing.
It's so much fun when the X Office actually plays with each other.
Leave that hanging in the air for a second.
Yeah.
But you know what that felt like? That felt like the Sins of Sinister seeds we got in Judgment Day. Like,
yes.
it was enough of a morsel to get me really excited. That I kind of was thinking Fall of X might not be my jam, and that would be okay because I got Sins of Sinister, which was basically the crossover written just for me. So if Fall of X is just okay, who cares at this point? I got Sins of Sinister this year. I already got the perfect X-Men crossover this year.
Yeah.
They're planting the seeds, baby. I'm getting the seeds that are getting me excited.
It's so great. Like, it was fun as Judgment Day was wrapping up to start to get excited for Sins of Sinister. And now, as we have literally entered the back half of Sins of Sinister, I'm getting really excited for what's next. Like,
yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it.
It's what this office has done with Judgment Day into Sins, and theoretically forward from here, is they have shown that there is a way to just do this event chasing kind of story where it's just
do it in a way that's actually good.
And it works, where it doesn't just exhaust me from event fatigue. I don't care. If every event can do this, I will take nonstop events forever. Like, I don't care. Like,
it's amazing that the X Office can do it while Greater Marvel can't, when they're the same people, essentially. Like, I know the X Office is a smaller editorial office within, but you'd think that the bigger Marvel editors would come in and be like, hey, how do we scale this up? How do we do this with the rest? And maybe, because we haven't actually seen them yet, from what the announcements of all of these little events we're getting this summer from Marvel, none of them excite me the same way. But maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe all of the random Captain America event and the Carnage event and the one that's going through the annuals that we're gonna have to read because it's going through the annuals. I can't think of the name of it now, but the Contest of Chaos or whatever the hell the name is.
Yeah.
Like, all of those events, maybe those will do this. Maybe those are gonna start chaining together. But even if not, I'm just happy the X Office is keeping me happy. If everything else craps out,
they really have it figured out over there.
Yeah, they're doing great things. Maybe the Spider Office can learn from them.
God, if only.
I talked about it a little. Do we think Stellaris is actually off the board?
I want to say yes.
I feel like that was his send off for the event. That's my gut, but
dead as
that
you
could
can
be wishful
be.
thinking.
Yeah, dead as you can be when you're a clone of an immortal person. You know, like,
that's fair.
I think he's dead for at least the next, I don't know, 900 years.
I just have our third and final religion might be the best written, and I think that was me just saying that I think, like, it's really cool that they ramped up, that we knew the Nightcrawler religion was going to be there, and it was really good, but then we got a really good glimpse of the evolution of the religion based around hope, and that seemed even more interesting. Yeah. And then literally just saying, oh yeah, the goddess of storms is actually a goddess now, is somehow the coolest of them all. Like,
I mean, yeah, I love, like, Hope's cool. I love Kurt, but if I had to pick a god, it would absolutely be Storm. Like, yeah, man. Yeah. There's a reason there's a reason why I buy Jade Cargill being undefeated at this point, and it ties directly into how much she references Storm, right?
Yeah.
Like, Storm is just the coolest. When Storm became, like, the head of the Soul system, I was like, yeah, because it's Storm. No one else can do that.
Well, and then now, in her death, she's created the Storm system. Do you remember the wall of timelines? That was what came after the Empire of the Red Diamond, was the Storm system. So, and she literally moved a solar system.
What's interesting is just the fact that, like, even though we're at the point that we're at now where it doesn't matter, like, the fact that she has no backup, I wonder if that'll come into play at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that came into at the beginning. That was her like inability to die meant she never got the tampered genes. But
Mm-hmm.
I, whew, I think we see something related to her in year 1000.
Yeah.
Whether it's as simple as like a descendant we didn't know about or something. Like there's gonna be something. They're not gonna just drop her from Storm of the Brotherhood 3. That wouldn't make any sense.
No, we'll have something. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
That's it for big notes. I do have a random trivia fact I thought was kind of cool.
Hit me.
Destiny's ship that she shows up on in the send up of like every space opera when like an unknown ship approaches was called Ananke. I think it's how it's pronounced, but that's the Greek word for foresight. I had to Google it because I figured it was such a weird word. It probably meant something, and I thought that was
that's clever. I like that. I like that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's better than just literally doing a translation of the word destiny. I thought that was neat.
I just really loved this book. Like, it was so much fun. Even just this is X Fighter Red, this is X Fighter Gold. I got giddy. Like, I was just like, ooh, yeah, this is my kind of stuff.
This is spoilers for you. I guess by the time the episode comes out, it's the second issue of now. Tomorrow, I'm going to hit 1,000 issues read this year on my reading log. But this is the second in those 1,000 I've given a 6 out of 5. Like I broke the scale for the second time for this issue. I loved this issue. There was nothing I would change, nothing I would improve. It was the perfect issue of a future story set in the X-Men world.
Yeah, Al Ewing's coming for the crown as far as my favorite current writers.
Yeah.
Like Donnie needs to start putting books out again because Al Ewing is gunning for it right now.
My nighttime reading tonight. I have not read Vanish yet. Vanish did come out today. Finally,
I need to read Vanish 5 today or tomorrow.
Also, should be on your read list if you're not reading Wasp. Wasp 4 came out, or Wasp 3 came out today too, and I really like the first two.
Oh, and that's that one that's similar to the Ant-Man series that was
out, but right? It didn't end up as similar as like the covers are straight up. It's the same color scheme with the Tom Riley art. But because this all takes place, it's one story. What made the Ant-Man one fun was each issue was about a different Ant-Man, and then the final issue was basically them doing a time travel team up. So you got kind of a glimpse of each era.
Okay.
We do still need to go around the Marvel Universe.
Chris Claremont wrote a book.
Yeah, it was a Claremont. Apparently, I go too hard on Claremont. Apparently, there's people that still really like Claremont, so I won't say too much.
I'll do it. Fuck it, I'll do it. Chris Claremont's the grumpy old man that won't fucking leave. He's a Vince McMahon-ass mofo.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Great Storm design. I love the way she looks in the series.
Yeah, anyone, I don't want to say anyone can draw a good Storm because we've seen what happened to Emma, but like, yeah, you can draw a cool Storm. Great. This story still is weak. It's just, it doesn't.
I think what bugs me the most is it's a sequel to a pretty bad Wolverine 85, 86 miniseries Claremont did. That wasn't even that popular because he wrote 2 Wolverine minis in Japan. And the one was really popular. One people hated it, and he decided, it's been 30 years. I'm going to write a sequel to the shitty one. I don't understand it, but it's only got an issue left. So we got that going for us.
Thank God. I'm just so done with this Chris Claremont. Anyways, tell me about Photon.
All right. So Photon, Monica Rambeau, number 4, she's face-to-face with the Beyonder, and it's like, you should reveal who you really are. And she's like, no, it's the shame of my childhood. I've never been able, I've had to hide who I am. And it's left as like an intentional cliffhanger. And so X-Twitter and weird anti-X-Twitter that exists where like, there's like a section of the Marvel fan base that just wants nothing to do with X-Men. So both groups are all up in arms. That means she's an X-Man. She's a mutant. Clearly they're saying she's a mutant. So here's my read on it. clearly, if she was a mutant, she would just say, "Nah, I'm a mutant." Like, I don't want people to know I am a mutant. I feel like that would be such an unsatisfying cliffhanger for the cliffhanger to be. She's gonna reveal next issue she's a mutant.
Like, how does, like, what, the way you phrased it, right? The secret shame of my childhood or whatever it is. How does that translate to being a mutant?
Because that's like been the argument is that's always been the stigma of like, well, everyone picks on the mutants in the Marvel universe. You know, like no one wants to be a mutant, but I feel like why would the Beyonder care about that too when we've seen that basically a third of the population at this point of Marvel are mutants? Like that wouldn't gather his interest anyways. So I think it's clearly like there's some celestial DNA or something beyond being a mutant or an inhuman. Like that's too simple. It's going to be something bigger.
Yeah.
But then also tonight, Jerry Dugan, the man himself, said he kind of vague booked, except it was on Twitter, but he said, "Not everyone's a mutant, you guys." So it wasn't explicitly said it was about the Rambeau controversy, but what else would he be referencing?
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say they overreacted.
I think people are reading too much into it. The secret shame of my childhood is that I should have been more into Bionicle. Like, what?
See, I always have been jealous of the kids who got to grow up with Bionicle because clearly, like, there's apparently a Bionicle dream. Do you know about this? Oh my god, you need to go down this rabbit hole. Okay, so I was too old. My Legos were pre-Bionicle. Like I had a lot of the Star Wars, the first wave of Star Wars sets.
Yeah.
But by the time Bionicle became a thing, I was like 14, 15. I was just out of that Lego age. But I've always been fascinated by it because they looked cool on the shelf, and like I wish I had nostalgia for them so I could go back to them. Anyways, apparently, like Bionicle fans across the internet have had this vivid dream for years of walking into a store and it's just full, like going into like a Target and it's full of Bionicles, and it's a consistent like piece of Bionicle lore that people have reported it on Reddit and Twitter and message boards for years. And I'm probably not getting the details right because it's incredibly specific. Mutuals on TikTok with Sleepy Savior.
No.
Ever heard of him? Okay. Really cool dude. You should look him up. He did a video not that long ago about it, and it sent me down the rabbit hole of looking into it, and it is pervasive. So just look up the Bionicle dream.
I'm going to have to, because here's the thing. As we've referenced multiple times, I'm just slightly younger than you.
Yeah.
I was the right age for Bionicle. I collected the fuck out of Bionicles.
Have you had the Bionicle dream?
That I need to go and research it and make sure, because I might have. I have had a dream or two about the Toa. Okay, I know about the Matanui. Fun fact. Bionicle got sued for taking too many cultural appropriation notes from the Polynesian people.
Really?
Yes. Anyways, that's a video essay for another day.
Okay. I want to hear about that someday.
Yeah.
They always looked cool.
Yeah, they're fun.
Anyways, next week, Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain #2, which I had way more fun with the first one than I should have, so I'm a little excited about.
Yeah.
Sabretooth and the Exiles #5, which in one way I'm really excited about because that book rules, and another way I'm really, really bummed about because it's fucking over.
Well, I'm excited because I love that book. And I'm also excited because that last page is going to tell us what the next book is, baby.
It better. We need to have a conversation, though, that you and I have had it briefly on Discord. Comic book sales for February 2023 had Storm in the Brotherhood #1 as the best-selling X-Men book at the 9th best-selling book overall. It was followed pretty quickly by X-Men #19 and 13, Nightcrawlers #1 and 14, and Immoral X-Men #1 and 26, which you do have to beg the question of, like, who are these people buying part of Sinister, not the other parts, by that big of a margin? But whatever. Wolverine and X-Force at 30 and 31. Bishop War College at 61. Deadpool 4 at 69. Marauders at 80, which is where it belongs. Extreme X-Men 81. Betsy Braddock 87. Sabretooth and the Exiles, 138. Why aren't you fucking people buying Sabretooth? That book is awesome.
Listen up. You need to be buying Sabretooth and the Exiles. It is one of the best books that has been on stands for the past 5 months.
X-Men Legends number 6 was 19 books above it at 119.
Are you?
The second printing of Sins of Sinister 1 was above it.
I understand that people are nervous about Sabretooth-led books. I get it. But this is the second mini in a row that is in the top tier of the X office, of Marvel, of all of comics.
Yeah.
People need to get in on it. I don't know how else to put it.
How dare sales be this bad? It is inappropriate.
This is nonsense. This is nonsense. Also, Deadpool at 69th place. Nice, that makes sense.
Fair. I got another one that'll make you mad.
Oh.
I want you to guess what number 1 and number 3 were.
For February?
Yeah.
Were they X books?
No, but they were the books we talked about.
Oh, fuck.
The number 1 selling book in February was Amazing Spider-Man 19, and the number 3 book was Dark Web Finale. Oh. Is it your turn to storm off?
This is my The Batman moment.
The Penguin.
The Penguin.
The Lizard. The Lizard.
What? Are you... Oh my God, what?
I know you're mostly upset about the Dark Web part of it, but
Yeah.
to me, the thing that's most upsetting is The Amazing Spider-Man is probably the only comic book I hate more than the Ben Percy books. I loathe what Zeb Wells is doing in Spider-Man. So knowing that it sells better than any book on the stands, it's just...
I mean, I
cutting
get
my
what
chest
you're
open
saying.
and ripping my heart out.
Do you know how badly I want to be reading a fucking Spider-Man book right now?
I know.
Miles
is really good. I should give Miles a shot.
I should jump back on. I was digging what Ziegler was doing, but I want to be reading a good Peter book so bad right now. And I just know that I can't because there isn't one.
You know what's driving me crazy is I like what the Spider Office is doing overall. I'm liking the Red Goblin miniseries. I was okay with the Gold Goblin miniseries. I like Venom. I like Carnage. But they can't get fucking Peter right. Like, the one book that really matters is the one they can't get right.
It's insane.
Oh, also next week, Deadpool number 5.
Cool.
And X-Men Unforgiven number 1, which will probably be around the universe because I don't think you probably even read the Spider-Man one last month.
Mm-mm.
But it's okay. It's bringing back some characters from 10 or 12 years ago. They're basically the good guy vampires, and I think they're having them team up with, because it's 3 one-shots in a row, and I think they're gonna try to basically make a superhero team out of them at the end of it. So we'll read it. We'll talk real briefly about it. It's not that important.
Works for me.
But Betsy Braddock, Sabretooth, and Deadpool all should be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah. That's 3 series that I'm enjoying. So
we're going to have an early record again because guess where this guy's going?
I'm going to WrestleMania, baby.
Yep. So we're gonna talk to him next week, and then the week after we get to hear how he feels about Roman Reigns retaining his undisputed WWE Championship.
No. Going to finish the story. Adrenaline in my soul. Something, Cody Rhodes.
I'll be honest, I am not the biggest Cody Rhodes fan,
Oh,
but I do love the move he made. Like the fact that he went from a character I absolutely loathed at the end of his AEW run to a character I am rooting to win at WrestleMania in the main event is pretty huge. Like, no matter how much you ridiculed him when he made the leap back to WWE, it was clearly the right call because he changed nothing about his character and yet completely changed my opinion of him just by switching companies. It's pretty amazing.
I gotta tell you, I love Cody. I
Yeah.
loved Cody in AEW. I love Cody here. The hardest thing for me was being okay with Cody leaving AEW and coming to WWE. Like
Yeah.
I had an issue with that because I loved him in AEW so much. But I'll tell you, I
If we're
love that man.
sidetracking to wrestling talk for a minute,
Yeah, just briefly. Yeah.
Loved Cody when loved his like original soon as Stardust ended and he left WWE run. Loved him in the early days of AEW, like that the was it wasn't Lights Out match. What was it? The one that ended up with him and Dustin just bloodied to hell at
Yes. Yeah.
that match. One of the best matches ever. Loved that match. I loved even some of his early storylines. It was once like it got to the point where we were referring to any story involving him as the Codyverse because it felt so separate from everything else going in AEW. And I was just over him. And I was so ready for him not to be on my TV. And so I thought it was hilarious when he showed up last year at WrestleMania. He was like, oh yeah, of course. Like he's gonna take his ball and he's gonna run home because he couldn't get the crowd to get behind him in AEW, blah blah blah. And he won me over pretty fast as like, okay, he doesn't have to change a thing. He just has to be in the right ecosystem, and this is the ecosystem for him.
I'm gonna be real. I popped at WrestleMania so
see,
hard.
I laughed like my buddy that was watching it with me will tell you. I didn't stop laughing until after the match had actually started. Like his entire entrance was me just laughing at how ridiculous it was that after some of the shit talk he did in the early AEW days about how it was different and how important it was to take a stand against what WWE represented and stuff. It was just, to me, it was the ultimate Carney move. But it worked. Like, I was wrong. I'm happy to admit, in my finding it hilarious, I was wrong. Even like at the Royal Rumble, I was still rooting for Sammy to somehow come out on top. As much as Cody had the story to finish, Sammy's story seemed more important. But they pulled it off. They made the story about both of them, and they're not competing in any way. They found a way to make it make sense that they're all going to bring down the bloodline together. And that's so fucking cool. Like, wrestling is terrible like 90% of the time. But the reason you keep coming back is because when wrestling is good, wrestling is awesome.
Yes. For our listeners that might not enjoy wrestling, wrestling is comic books. Like it's comic books, truly. And if you ever want proof of that, all you gotta do is you gotta Google a phrase. And it's a phrase that I never thought I would suggest that you Google. But you put in the words Logan Paul, Ricochet, Royal Rumble, and you go, oh, wrestling is comic books.
Yeah. So we always use the term in high school redneck anime to describe wrestling.
Yes, absolutely.
Because like it really is. People talk about it as a soap opera, and like that is true, but it's way more in line with the mythologies of either anime or comic books. That it follows these larger than life characters that react in ways that are way amplified to how like you would react in real life. But because there's an internal consistency, an internal logic, like it makes sense within itself. Like in the real world, if your boss said something you slightly disagreed with and you punched him in the face, you wouldn't be given a title shot, you'd be fired. But because there's an internal language in wrestling where like that's how you solve a dispute, like that makes sense and that makes it epic. As you just like comic books, there's so much shit in comic books that you're like, they would just shoot him. Like literally, Batman would just have like snapped Joker's neck by now. No, that's just the way it works. Like you see how like in the real world, our military decides to take someone out for way less than Joker's ever done.
Oh, yeah.
But because of the internal logic of the medium, it makes sense. Wrestling is the exact same way.
Absolutely. Oh, love it.
I guess that'll do it for us.
That'll do it for us.
After some peer pressure, we have a Discord server where, you might have guessed it, we talk a lot of wrestling. We talk a lot of comic books. We talk a lot of X-Men. I say join us. Hopefully we grow a lot in 2023. We're officially a quarter of the way through 2023. And I'm pretty sure we've lost one member this year, and that's it. I don't think we've gained anyone since before New Year's. So, help us grow at least a little in 2023.
Yeah.
Make sure you like us, review us on all the places, follow us, and if nothing else, tell a friend who you think might enjoy it. That Nerdy Papa Bear on all the socials. That dude over there is Keegan, who is also Bulk Ranger. Keegan is Bulk Ranger. Until next time, and hopefully forever, no more Marauders, please.
Please.